Just so you guys know, paternity tests, you can't trust these whatever. You are gonna need her consent because you need a DNA sample from her too. The way it works is they do the analysis and it'll show what markers the baby has, see which ones they got from you and which ones they got from the mother. So you're gonna need her consent. It's hard to argue not doing it because we live in a time where we have the technology to be sure that your kid's your kid. Why wouldn't you do that? I've decided that I have to. I like knowing that my kid's my kid and being certain and then following science to know that for sure. If this is something you want to do, make the decision that you're gonna do it before you meet her, before you have the kid. Of course, she's gonna try to guilt trip you. You don't really love me. You don't trust me. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, no. It has nothing to do with you, lady. I was always gonna do this. I expect it to be a tough conversation, but you make a decision, you stick with it. And that's where I'm at. Don't get me started on the whole marriage thing either. The license part, you can get rid of that. You can get the ring, and maybe not the paper. You can get the rock, but you're not gonna get the paper. Oh, that's a fucking dope line. Shit.
So my uncle took a paternity test for his daughter, and it turns out he's not the father. My aunt swore she never cheated, but she couldn't convince my uncle of that, so she took a paternity test herself. And it turns out she's not the mom either. They decided that they were going to sue the hospital, but the crazy part is they found their biological daughter. They found her in foster care because apparently the people that were raising her weren't good people. And as crazy as it sounds, now they have to adopt their biological daughter. Of course, they're still going to take care of the first one. But this morning, my uncle settled on the lawsuit that he filed, and he got $2 million. Honestly, I think he could have got more, but his lawyer is his ex-girlfriend. My head hurts.
Yeah, I was the other woman. I did these things wrong. I made a mistake. I'm ashamed of it. My TikTok algorithm has been really cheater heavy, and it's women telling their story times about cheating men and their husbands sleeping with their mothers and all of these crazy things, but we never actually hear from the other woman. And the reason why is because they know they've done wrong. It's a really vulnerable place to put yourself in. I made a mistake. I'm ashamed of it because the internet will absolutely rip that person apart. But I really value vulnerable people online. I love people who are willing to share things that wouldn't typically be shared online, which is exactly what I do and exactly why I am a sex coach. But I think it's time that I share my own stories because I have been the other woman. I have been the unhealed, not girl's girl woman that hooked up with somebody else's man, with somebody else's husband, that has done things that I am really ashamed of. And I want to start telling my stories because I want people to see that people can change and you can realize that you've done something wrong, and the hurt that you've perpetuated on someone will never go away, but that doesn't mean that you have to live in shame and guilt for the rest of your life. As much as I want to share my stories, I am absolutely petrified because of the way that people post comments on the internet and say just the absolute worst things. And some of you are probably going to say, well, you deserve it. You've done all these terrible things, so you deserve these bad things coming to you. But here's the deal. Karma takes care of that, okay? You don't need to be my karma by commenting mean things on my video. I want to post this stuff so that we hear more of those vulnerable stories, and then somebody who's maybe not a girl's girl and who is considering hooking up with somebody else's man can hear my story and can say, I actually don't want to do it anymore. I want to reach the people who are unafraid to be vulnerable, who have made mistakes, who own up to their mistakes, and who change for the better. So if that's you, can you please leave me a little love, and then I'll start sharing my stories, and whatever happens will happen.
Apparently right now there's a huge debate on whether or not paternity tests should be mandatory. A lot of women are against it, to no surprise whatsoever. A lot of them are saying that they would divorce their husband immediately if he asked them for a paternity test. And even some men are saying that it would be labeling their wife as a whore to ask for a paternity test. So I'm going to have to disagree with the women and the men on this that are against mandatory paternity tests, because as a woman, I'm never going to know what it feels like to question if the child is mine or not, with the exception of baby swaps in the hospitals. But how often does that happen? And also, as a woman, why wouldn't I want my child to then be swapped to ensure that that is my child after all, and then give that man peace of mind? This isn't about trust. This is just about peace of mind, because you know what? With the statistics that have come out and the data that has come out with how many women cheat in marriages and how many women cheat in general, if I was a man, I would want a paternity test for sure. In France, it's caused such a debacle that they have made it illegal. Doesn't that in itself speak volumes? I really don't see the issue with this becoming a mandatory thing for everyone to get, because then no woman would feel signaled out. It wouldn't be a personal decision. It would be just something that everyone gets. So it would give your husband peace of mind. It would give you peace of mind because you know that your baby was not swapped at the hospital, and you wouldn't be questioning that trust aspect because everyone's doing it. So I really don't see the issue if this was a government mandate. However, if you guys still have an issue with that, then you know what? Why don't men just get the baby swabbed? I 100% think that every single man should swab their baby. I don't care if you have to do it behind her back. Swab that baby because the risks are way too high these days. And if she's getting offended, that's a red flag, because personally, I would not care. I would not get offended. I would want the peace of mind for myself that the baby wasn't swapped at the hospital. And if I can give my husband peace of mind at the same time, why would I not do that? I have nothing to hide. If someone doesn't have anything to hide, they wouldn't care. You can be empathetic towards the male gender due to this issue that's going on with so many women tricking men into being fathers for babies that aren't theirs.
Have you guys heard the story going around on TikTok about that couple that was going to get a divorce because the husband didn't think the child was his? They end up doing a DNA test and turns out the child was not his, but it wasn't hers either. After investigating, turns out their babies got switched at the hospital. That child is 5 years old now. So they've taken care of that child, loved that child for 5 years. That child is theirs. But they still obviously wanted to find their actual biological child. And you're not going to believe this. Turns out their biological child is in foster care. And thank God the couple has decided to actually adopt him. And I pray for them that they don't end up getting divorced and that they stick together and figure this out. But this is just another example of how insane hospitals and the medical system in this country is. I feel like this only happens in America. And I would advise all parents, don't let them take away your child when you're in the hospital. I know sometimes you might want to sleep, or if you're going to have them take them away, put some sort of marker on your child. Because I'm sorry, I don't trust the hospitals. I don't trust crazy nurses like the lady that admitted to swapping thousands of babies in the past on her deathbed. I don't trust anybody. And I pray to God this couple sues the lights out of that hospital. I hope that hospital has to file bankruptcy for the amount of money these people can go after them for. But the reality is, we know the hospital is going to be fine. Nobody's going to jail. And this entire fucked up situation is just going to have to be burdened by that family and that family alone. But here's the thing. Hospitals in this country are actually quite lucky that Americans are some of the most calm and rational people around. For those of us that were not born in America, that immigrated here, that still have the boiling blood of wherever it is that we came from, that shit doesn't fly with us. And all I'm saying was that if that was my situation, and if that happened to me, somebody is going to jail, even if it's me.
Fun fact, paternity tests, which are used to confirm a man is the biological father of his child, are illegal in France. And if a father is caught using a paternity test in France or in any other country, he could face up to a year in jail and a $16,000 fine. In 1994, France banned DNA testing because it had the potential to break up too many families. Even today, at-home DNA tests like 23andMe are banned in France. Because in France, 5 out of 10 men and 4 out of 10 women admit to cheating on their partner. And culturally, the attitude towards cheating is quite relaxed. So the government worried that allowing DNA tests to be conducted freely would unnecessarily tear apart too many families, saying the law preserves the peace of families. And the only way to get a legal paternity test in France is if it's ordered by a judge.
I gave my husband an extremely dangerous allergic reaction by feeding my homemade banana bread to his mistress. And you know what? I'm not even sorry. 2 weeks ago, I came home from work early. Now, I didn't bother to let my husband know because, to be honest, I didn't expect him home. I didn't expect anybody home. My plan was to have a bath, not tell anyone that I'd come home from work early, just relax for an hour, and then my husband would get home. What actually happened was I turned up home to find my husband and our friend in the kitchen, just laughing. Now, there wasn't too much to be suspicious about at first. They were both fully dressed. There was nothing untoward going on that I could see. And when I arrived, my friend's facial expression didn't change. She seemed very happy to see me. She threw her arms around me, cuddled me, and spent the next few hours talking to me. So everything seemed fine. It was only once she left that I kind of internally started to question how long she had been there and what were they laughing about. Because when I walked into the kitchen, I wasn't involved in the conversation. Nobody included me in the joke. We just started our own conversation. So it was playing on my mind a little bit. And then last week, my husband told me he needed to work late. This is not a regular occurrence. My husband never works late and doesn't really have the kind of job where you would need to work late. So it made no sense. I didn't question it. And then at the beginning of this week, my husband worked late. Again, I had my internal questions, but I said nothing. I need to reiterate that my husband's job is not the sort of job where you would need to work late. It's the kind of job where you finish at 5 o'clock and you forget about work. You don't need to think about it until you're there the next day. It's that kind of job, you know? So he calls me yesterday about lunchtime to let me know that he needs to work late. And I said, okay. And I don't know what came over me, but I had a plan. I had a terrible, terrible plan. My husband is highly allergic to bananas. So I went and bought some bananas. I made banana bread, and then I let my friend know that I was going to be dropping some banana bread round. And she was happy. Of course, who doesn't want homemade banana bread other than my husband? There's no way that he's going to come home and have a reaction in our house. I was on my hands and knees scrubbing that kitchen. It was sparkling. There were no remnants of banana in that kitchen. So I drop the banana bread round to my friend's house. And I leave. I get a call about 4 hours later. My husband had an extremely dangerous allergic reaction to bananas. I make my way to the hospital. And when I get there, the doctor starts to question me on, his allergies, what we have in the house, this, that, the other. In front of my husband, I say, Doctor, I don't know how this has happened. The only thing he's allergic to is bananas. And yes, I did make banana bread today, but I have completely blitzed our kitchen. And that aside, he's not even been home yet, Doctor. You see, I made this banana bread for our friend and I dropped it round there earlier and then this is the point when I turn to look at my husband. And I say, and I have no idea how it could transfer from her to him. How could that happen? It's safe to say that he knew exactly where I stood at that point. I didn't say another word. I turned on my heel and I left the room. And on my way out of the hospital, who walks in? We are literally walking directly towards each other. The friend. See, I'm not normally the revenge type of girl. I'm normally the cut you out of my life, I will never have a need to see you again kind of girl. But obviously, I was in a relationship with him, so it was quite important that I did get my revenge. But her, I had nothing to say. So as we're walking towards each other, she calls me. She calls me to get my attention, to say hello, and to ask how he's doing. I look at her and I tell her he's allergic to bananas. I'm surprised you didn't know. In fact, you should probably clean your teeth and wash your hands before you go up to see him. Clearly they think I'm stupid. Clearly they think I would never catch on to what they were doing. But I did catch on. I nearly killed him.
Well, that is one fascinating stories. Good vibe sauce. What did you learn from that story? All I can say is this. We all need to love one another, be honest, forgiving, and full of good vibes. Lots of things have happened. I'm surprised there is a country where it is illegal to do DNA test whether the kid is yours or not. From this side of the world, it is done at birth by the people there around. Someone will look at the child and say, huh, why does this one look like the next farmer there? Hey, there, do you wonder This one, why does he disable the neighbor? That is how it is done normally. You don't need to buy those kits. So putting it illegal, it could have been very hard unless you tell people not to give their opinion. You see, because even after you've grown up, someone will tell you, "Hey, my friend, why do you look like the chief?" You see. Anyway, good vibes source. Thanks for watching all this way. I'd like to hear your perspective on all this DNA stuff and people not being honest with one another. We would all embrace love and good vibes. Good vibes all the way. Let's keep watching. Interesting stuff coming up, by the way.
Have you ever heard the saying that if you're pregnant and your child comes out looking exactly like their dad, that you didn't like their dad while you were pregnant? The truth is actually so much more sinister. Scientists believe that children are born looking like their father so that the father will not the baby. Yep, just like animals in the wild. Men find it harder to bond with children that do not look like them. So now if you're a mother, did you have a child that looked exactly like their dad when they were born? I don't believe any man when he says he can't do something. Yes, the fuck you can. That's never stopped you before. I mean, if it's an eyelash curler, sure, we're all fucked. But I'm convinced it only takes 2 men to sort out any fucking problem. I put 2 guys in a high security room and this shit should have been flawless. No, and all it took was these idiots going, I wonder what happens if you hit all of the buttons at the same time. Whoa, system override. I could have put a bomb in front of these motherfuckers and they'd be like, see, here's the thing. If you rub the red wire with the yellow wire and then you spill Busch Light on it, it actually just completely shuts off. So don't buy the bullshit when he says he can't do something. Yeah, give him a fucking minute. He'll tinker with it. He'll figure it out, or he'll call a buddy that'll help. And he'll be the first one to call up the engineer to be like, bro, you fucked up. Because he can't wait to tell you that he now knows something better than you, and you were the one that made it.
Is it possible that quantum computing could scale down to the size where you could be able to put it in someone's head?
That may be difficult because the computer itself is pretty big, but the connection of the computer to the human could be very tiny. Could be as small as you want.
And now you have more computing power on your cell phone than had in 1963 in a giant room filled with computers. So is that possible that quantum computing could also scale like that?
Because of the hardware necessary to bring it down to near absolute zero would simply be huge.
Absolute zero, you mean temperature?
Temperature near absolute zero. You don't want any interference with the code because these are atoms. Atoms, the slightest little disturbance can knock these atoms out of coherence. And that's why you have to cool it down to near absolute zero. These are the pipes, the cooling pipes for the quantum computer. The quantum computer itself is only this big. At the very bottom, that's where the computation actually takes place. The quantum computer will be in the cloud. You won't even see it. Your connection will connect to that object in the cloud.
This new Google quantum computer that can do a problem that would take thousands of years for every computer on Earth to solve.
I've read that.
It can solve in a second.
Yeah.
Something that can take more years than you literally can understand. It could be solved in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
The idea is that they're pulling answers from different universes simultaneously. They don't even completely understand how this is working. But the amount of power in computing is incomprehensible.
Yeah.
Like you're only looking at it and there's numbers, you could write all those numbers out, but your brain's not capable of grasping really what's going on. Yeah. And it's probably the biggest breakthrough technologically in human history by a long stretch. And it's all happening without most people even being aware of what the implications are. So AI's founder and lead, Hartmut Neven, said that the new chip had performed a purposefully complicated exercise called a random circuit sampling benchmark in 5 minutes. One of the world's most advanced classical supercomputers, on the other hand, it would take 10 and then 3 zeros, 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 3 zeros. Years to perform the same exercise. That's 10 septillion years, which exceeds known time scales in physics and vastly exceeds the age of the universe. So it can do more time than vastly exceeds the entire age of the universe, and it can do it in 5 minutes.
This is the most powerful chip ever created, and this right here is the coldest place in the known universe. This is the Majorana 1, Microsoft's revolutionary quantum chip. Nearly 20 years in the making, this breakthrough didn't just push the boundaries of computing, it redefined them. That's because this is the world's first quantum processing unit powered by a topological core, designed to scale to an unprecedented 1 million qubits. In other words, Microsoft didn't just build a new quantum computer, they created an entirely new state of matter. That's because it's not a solid, liquid, or gas, but a state of matter that had only been theorized until now. At its heart is a breakthrough material capable of observing and controlling Majorana particles, unlocking more reliable and scalable qubits, the fundamental building blocks of quantum computers. And with this, we now have a roadmap with a chip that could deliver more computational power than all the computing power on the planet combined, condensed into something small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. And I know that, because I was one of the first people in the world to hold it. And due to its immense power and delicate nature, this chip must be placed in a specialized freezer and cooled to 50 millikelvin, which is a staggering 40 times colder than interstellar space. But what does this breakthrough mean for the world? Well, if you guys don't know what quantum computers can do, think of it as a way to get to an answer dramatically quicker than what we can do with our current computers and supercomputers. It means that we can finally tackle problems we once thought impossible, like breaking down pollutants into valuable byproducts, eradicating global hunger, or creating new materials that can self-heal. So in simple terms, solving challenges we haven't even yet imagined. The possibilities, endless. This is the Majorana 1.
This is not my field, so I'm coming here to ask for assistance from people who are more educated on this topic than I am. My understanding is that Majorana state requires a topological superconductor, which is theorized to exist, and we have found some conditions for it, but the discovery of one that we can actually use for like quantum computing and to create qubits continues to elude us. And so now Microsoft is advertising that they've done it. They say they've created a topological superconductor, they have the Majorana state. Wow, this is incredible. They're advertising this chip that has not just 1, but possibly 8 qubits on it, and, you know, of course could host millions more. And this is where I need help, because, and again, please forgive my gross oversimplification here and correct me in the comments for anything I get wrong, but it seems like this glaring omission where they didn't even demonstrate that this is not just the Andreev state, which is a form of particle scattering between superconductor and non, but isn't enough to support this sort of quantum computing that we're talking about here. And so I don't understand what it is I'm missing. Like, is that not required? Have they really done it and I just don't know enough to understand how they did it while skipping that step? Or are they just outright lying to us? Because I feel like I'm going insane. And if they are lying to us, that begs the question, like, why would this trillion-dollar technology company risk their entire reputation by making such an outrageously bogus claim like this? And then I also have questions for Nature, the renowned scientific journal, because Microsoft submitted this paper for peer review, and 3 of the 4 peers said no. They said, don't publish this is not good science. They haven't demonstrated that they have a Majorana state. And so I need to know also what possessed Nature to feel that this was something that they should publish, despite the referees saying that this is not good science. So yeah, if anybody is willing to enlighten me on this, please, I'm begging you, because I feel like I'm going insane.
Little love, let me have a look. Let me have a look. Hello, baby. Let's just have a look and see what Mum... She would have been hit by a car. She hasn't got any electrocution injuries. Hello, little one. Let me have a look at you. Let me have a look, baby. So she's attached onto Mum's nipple, and they actually bite Mum's nipple with their little tiny backwards curving teeth. So you can't actually rip them off. You've got to encourage them to get off. Come on, baby. Let me see. Yeah, I know. There we are. Oh, yes. Hello, you pretty little face. What have we got? A little girl. A little girl. And see how hard it was for me to get... Once she hooks into something, she's got extra little barbs under her claws, which is why I'm wearing the gloves, is because they always scratch you. Okay. Settle down a little bit, sweetheart. I'm going to put you on a teddy bear. I am. I know it's not your mum. However, However, what I'm going to do is give you better than that. Look at the little face. And look at the tiny little teeth. Wait a minute. Look at you, sweetheart. No, you're not going to open your mouth. Tiny, tiny little backwards curving teeth. Okay, so what I do is some glucose. We're making friends now. Little dummy? Got a dummy for you? Don't bite my finger. No, because I've been bitten before by a baby. You wouldn't think it hurts, but they hook into you and you have to rip your finger out. So this is some glucose. And look, see? She's going, yeah, that's not bad. And then I'm going to put a dummy in to give her something to suck onto. Yeah. Because it's got glucose on it, she's more likely to lick it. She's probably thirsty. I'll give her some fluids when I get her home. Inject some fluids under her skin, and I'll wait till she does a wee before I actually start to feed her. Is that one a bit small for you? Okay, let me have a look. Would you prefer a pink one? How about that one? Hello, have you had a bad day, sweetie? There you are. Have you had a bad day? Is that one a bit better? She's going, that's not my mum's nipple. There's no milk in it. You're big and ugly and I hate you. And where's your fur? Okay. Here we are. Yes, so we've got a little baby. Yes, probably be hit by a car, feeding in the trees. Pop the dummy in your mouth. Let's just wrap you up and pretend that you're on your mum. I'll actually take the body away and let her smell it for a bit longer. Oh, lovey. Yay, you had a rough time, didn't you? You tell me about it. Let's try and put this in. Just if they have dummies in, they actually feel more secure because they think they're holding on. So I'm just going to cover her head like she'd be covered under Mum's wing with the dummy in. I'll just pop her in here for a bit. I love overalls, they have pockets for everything. Put you there and just have a look. She's not bad condition. You know, and let's see if you've got milk in your other nipple. A little bit. So the baby's just sucked her dry over the last, however long it's been since the accident. Yes, there was milk in this nipple, see? I'm squeezing it out and there's milk, a little bit of milk. Okay, Mum, let's just take you. We'll sort you out. And we'll look after your baby. We look after a baby. So baby will be in care for about 3 months to begin with in somebody's house. And they will treat them like their baby. The baby will hang on them and be loved by them. And then when they're about 3 months old, we put them in creches and they all learn how to be baby bats, proper bats again. And they turn into feral little bastards. And they learn how to be bats. They all just sort of join together. They become territorial and fight each other for the food, or just go, that's my food, and scream at each other. If we've got any males or adults with them, they'll show them how to be a bat and they'll be released under a colony and gradually integrate. So that's what will happen. Okay, thanks for putting the buckets over it.
Thank you.
Okay.
This one found this button egg on the ground during their morning routine. Wonderful. They didn't want to just toss it. Oh, this is a good web's humor. So they brought it back home with them to incubate it. The story is going well. This is fantastic. Look at how the size of the egg there. It's hard to believe that there is some good web's soul inside there. But this soul was hoping that it wasn't outside for so long, or maybe that thing inside could have been alive. On that day, they decided to check on the egg. It was doing just fine. Oh, but it had a hairline crack. This is interesting. Oh, they sealed it with the wax, hoping to keep any bacteria out from it. And after 10 days, guess what? The egg had a surprise for this good vibes guy. Seems he hadn't saved the egg for no reason. It worked. It was developing perfectly. This is good vibes. I'm loving this story. This is some good vibes guy. Look, the egg, to check it, he has to use some light there, some neon light, and it's incredible. And they came home from the gym and he was already out. This is adorable. Look at the size of the chick, my friends. And they named him Lucky. This is adorable. Look, they bonded with this good web soul almost immediately. And here is the animal now, some few days later. This wonderful soul, my friends, is full of love. This is just adorable watching this. This is what you're always talking about here, you see? Ha! Thanks for watching all this way. That good web soul, my friends, the one in the last video there, is just one fantastic soul. And we hope that the universe will reward that guy in miraculous ways, you see? And even you, my friend, who have been watching up to this point, may good vibes come your way abundant. I'd like to hear your thoughts on all those things we've just seen, you see? And if you have a pet there, you can tell us even their name down below and how you interact with them. Now to wrap up the show, we always read from some good vibes book that is the constitution of human beings, the guide of life. And today, let's hear what it has for us. About noon, this is a story of some guy heading some place and something happened. So listen. About noon, as I came near Damascus, suddenly a bright light flashed from heaven around me. I fell to the ground and heard a voice say to me, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? Who are you, Lord? I asked. I am Jesus of Nazareth, whom you are persecuting. He replied, My companions saw the light, but they did not understand the voice of him who was speaking. What shall I do, Lord? I asked. Get up, the Lord said, and go into Damascus. There you'll be told all that you have been assigned to do. My companions led me by the hand into Damascus because the brilliance of the light had blinded me. Acts 22:6 going down. But a story of some good vibes guy that his life was transformed, my friend. On his way to do bad, God changed his intentions and made them good. That wonderful creator, my friends, is the one that we here believe and always ask for guidance in our show. And today we believe he has been with us up to this point. So let's give thanks together before we wrap up. Dear Lord Father, thank you for your love. Thank you for every bit of this video, Father, since the beginning up to this time. We come before you, Father, together with your adorable child here, today's viewer, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Dear Lord, Father, we ask for forgiveness of all our sins, Father, through the sacrifice of your Son. Dear Lord, these viewers that have been watching, bless them abundantly. Reveal yourself to them, Father, in miraculous ways, and show them your path, Father. Direct them as you may be pleased, dear Lord, and also bless those around them. In your holy name, Jesus Christ, we do pray, trusting and believing. Amen. See you next time, child of God. Peace and love be with you. Bye bye. Good vibes.